So great. Hi, Thea. How are you?
I'm terrific, Vanessa. So
Awesome.
happy to be here with
I'm
you.
so happy. I'm so happy and blessed that you can join us. I wanted to introduce everybody. This is Thea Sommer, founder of Beyond 10. She's an international leadership coach. She founded this company, and what she offers is coaching and consulting to professionals and individuals like us. And I was so happy that she accepted because, especially nowadays, everybody's dealing with so much anxiety and uncertainty due to the virus and what's going on. And that's not her specialty, but that's her specialty of, helping people go through major life changes and transformations. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy. I'm sure everybody's going to be taking so much from it, including myself.
Yes,
Obviously, this is a little selfish on my part because I wanted to talk to you and hear what you have to say. So let's start a little bit from the back. How do you get into coaching and leadership programs?
great. Well, Vanessa, let me just respond and say I'm so happy to be here. And, it's such a joy for me to do this kind of work. And I love what I do. And so I feel really happy that you invited me to do this. And for sure, with this and anything else for you, I'm a yes. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
So I am in my 21st year of having my coaching company, and I only know that because I started it when I was pregnant with Benny, with my oldest son. And prior to that, I worked for an organization that designed and delivered transformational weekend programs, those really intense.
Sure.
Yeah, right. And I worked for them for 17 years.
So
So
before your coaching, you worked for another company for
I
17.
worked for another company,
Okay.
really doing not the same thing at all, but traveling around the world, leading weekend seminars. I did that for about 40,000 people. And so, for more than 3 decades, really doing this. And when I started Beyond 10, coaching was not the rage that it is today. Now everybody knows what coaching is. It's so wonderful. But when I began, I would say I'm a coach, and people would say, well, what do you coach, soccer?
Yeah. Sure.
And now it's there. So I've always had a commitment to make a difference and make an impact. And that's how I began.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm sure a lot of your clients are going through this, right? Like everybody's
Sure.
going through this. They don't know what to do. When is this going to end? How is it going to affect my work life, the economy? The kids. I mean, I have a senior at home, right? She's devastated that she can't graduate. It's going to be online. She can go to prom. That's being taken away from her. Period. Right? Like my daughter. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are going through, more devastated through people, like losing their jobs.
Yes.
Or, you're a business owner, right? I mean, a lot of people have furlough a lot of employees. Once the economy opens up, maybe you can't hire everybody that you fired, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of uncertainty. What would you say are tools or things that you're giving people or telling people to do?
Yeah. Well, before I talk about the tools, I think I want to talk a little bit about the background, because you certainly were talking about the financial implications for so many people, but it's so much bigger than that, as we all know, right? So this global pandemic, and we have this virus, and we can't see it, and people are getting sick, and people are dying, and people have lost their jobs, and it's not Florida, it's not the United States, it's global. And so there's on one side this world of so much uncertainty and so much pain and so much fear and so much suffering. That's kind of one side of the world. And then the other aspect of what seems to be happening on I would call it the not negative side, is that people are starting to connect in new ways. right? You see all of this stuff on social media and even on the news in terms of the kindness and the acts of generosity and people stepping up and people connecting with their families and all of the sudden being home, even though it's challenging for sure, there's a level of connection that is happening that hadn't been. And so we have these two worlds, and, you know, being furloughed, losing your job, being sick, having someone you know who's sick, having someone you know who's passed away, coupled with, wow, all of a sudden I'm being given permission to slow down, which
That's
in
huge.
a certain way can be peaceful for people if they let themselves feel that. All of a sudden I have time to do those things that I didn't necessarily have time for. I mean, not everybody has that, but a lot of people do. So it's this dichotomy of experience that's happening simultaneously. It's so strange. When people ask me how I'm doing, I have to start with, all things considered, I'm doing great, or all things considered, I'm doing crappy. Because there's this world that we can't ignore. Not that we could ignore it before, but now it is absolutely all-encompassing. And I think for those of us who are in an okay space or in a safe space or in a space where we're not being very impacted in terms of great difficulty, there's almost like a survivor's guilt about that. You know, yes. I haven't in the last month asked anyone how they're doing, and they just say, I'm fabulous, how are you? No, not one person. And I know fabulous, great, successful, wonderful people. So there's that side of it that I just want to underline. The other thing that I think is super, super challenging about this, and it's more in the background, Vanessa and everybody, is that the uncertainty of this day to day is hard enough to deal with. But the other aspect of it that I believe is even more challenging is we don't know how long it's going to last. I cannot tell you the number of people, clients who have said to me, you know, if you just said to me, this is going to last for a month or even 6 months, and I knew what I was dealing with, I would be okay. I'd be able to handle that. So as human beings, our experience of our life in the present often is not so much about what's happening around us. It's really what's happening that we can see in our future. Right? So if I'm about to go on a vacation to my most favorite place in the world and I'm leaving in 5 weeks, when I think about that, I get happy even though I'm not on vacation yet. And on the other side of it, if I have something in my future that I'm nervous about, that gives me anxiety, and I start to think about it, even though it's a month away, I get anxious right now. So it seems that it's not what's happening in the here and now that gives me how I'm doing. It's the future that's in front of me. And globally, nationally, locally, the future that is in front of us is so uncertain. And the way that human beings respond to uncertainty is often with anxiety. Yeah. That's the kind of natural, if you don't manage it, if you don't think it through, that's the natural thing that's there. What produces anxiety? Uncertainty about the way that things are going to go. So in response to your question, Vanessa, I wanted to give that as a background because I think that the greatest tool that all of us can generate for ourselves now has something to do with being right here, right now. Has something to do with the acts of being present. And these days, you know, lots of people meditate and do yoga and read spiritual books. You know, it's wonderful, right? But it's wonderful to see the popularity of it, because if you think about it, you know, 15 years ago, while there were certainly people involved in those spiritual practices, it wasn't like it is today. So there are lots of ways to get yourself grounded and here and now. And when you do, I think that the only question that really brings peace is, how am I doing right now? Right? So if I were to ask you, Vanessa, right now, just in this moment, are you okay?
Sure.
You are.
Yeah, no, and it's funny going back to actually twofold. When you talk about transformation and people just, one part, two parts of it. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to my cousin and I'm like, well, what about so-and-so? How is she doing? Because she's home, right? And she's this amazing dermatologist, right? She's super hip, she's beautiful, she's got the best family, everything. And now that she's home, she realized that she hates what she does.
Right. There's going to be
like, I hate what I do, right? She would have not known that unless she would have had to step back, and being forced, right, to be home with her two children that she thought she was super connected. Guess what? She's not even connected to the kids.
Exactly.
So she's discovering this new phase, right, of I hate what I do and I'm not connected to my kids. So maybe I can pause and be like, okay, do I need to work 5 days a week? In her case, no, she can work twice. Okay, well, let me rearrange my life again.
Yes.
Twice a week, and then be with my kids who are small.
Yes. And Vanessa, that is an amazing point. I actually heard someone refer to this time as the great pause.
Yeah.
I think that is so incredible. And, there are many of us for whom we're going to have those kinds of awakenings. We all have the opportunity for it if we kind of get out of our own heads and out of our own ways, because this experience forces rethinking everything.
Yes.
How much am I working? How much am I buying? Who am I really talking to? What am I doing with my downtime? Everything is up for grabs. And, we've had times in our history where we've been given the possibility of a do-over, where people slow down and become kinder and gentler and more generous. During 9/11, I'm born and raised in Manhattan, and so it was a very intense experience for me, even though I wasn't there directly. And you watched what happened with people and how they went above and beyond and were looking out for each other and taking care of each other. And there was this generosity of spirit. Like 4 months in, I read something in the New Yorker which said, oh my gosh, we must be getting back to normal because someone just gave me the finger on the LIE. Right? As almost if what it is to be normal is the intensity and the frenzy. And, not to get too woo-woo, because even though I'm a coach and spiritual and all of that, the woo-woo stuff doesn't necessarily do it for me. But if this is the great pause, I think there's the possibility of a great awakening. And I think that for each of us, and this is true every day, but now the world is just saying, wake up whether you want to or not. Right?
Yeah, it has, for sure.
And so there's a possibility of looking and examining and exploring, catching yourself when the anxiety sets in, because I'm certain all of us are going to go through that. But then bringing it back to right now, are you okay?
Yeah.
And then.
So a couple of things, living the moment, like you said, right now, am I okay? And then really controlling how you feel, right? I mean, this is a great learning tool for everybody. We can control the outside, right? Mm-hmm. We can control Mother Nature, obviously, but we can even control what your spouse, your child's going to do.
Yes.
You can control how you're going to act to what they do.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm glad that you said it that way, because you started out saying controlling what you feel. I don't know about you, Vanessa, but other than, drinking a lot, I cannot control my feelings, right? And
I'm on the same boat.
Right? So I haven't ever met anyone who can control how they feel. Mm-hmm. I've met people and everyone who are at different levels of capacity and mastery for the recognition of how they're feeling, and then dealing with how am I going to respond or react. Because the feelings of great anxiety can be there for me and I can flip out, which I do, yes. Or the feelings of great anxiety can be there for me and I can turn around fast enough to see myself and notice it. And for me, take a breath to see how I want to respond. I think that's where I have something to say about the way things go.
Yeah. For me, it's giving me a pause because obviously my business, I'm going 24/7.
Yes, you are.
It's literally nonstop. So it's giving me a pause. And it's also because it's happened, a couple of things has happened to me that were not okay with people that I really knew. And this happens to real estate constantly, which doesn't have to, but unfortunately it does. Mm-hmm. And it's made me stop. And it just, I was like, wow, okay. Again, I can control how I feel with the situation that just happened to me. And it's taught me, guess what? I don't need to deal with those people.
Right.
My husband's like, luckily we don't need the outcome of that deal. So I'm just letting it go. It's not easy, especially me at all.
I know.
At all. But it's letting it go. I'm okay.
Yes.
I don't need that extra anxiety on somebody who's not going to value me.
Yes.
And that's another aspect of things, right? Live in the moment, live in the present, and then value who you are and knowing or trying to know. Because for me, it's constantly figuring out who I am and what I want, right? And then actually being of service. That's huge for me.
I know.
Being of service is huge, huge, huge. And every time, and the more I can give, the more I get back.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend of mine who's a teacher, a Nautilus, and she posted something on Facebook, but I heard it through somebody else. She's actually getting in her car. She's a teacher, right? Asking for donations and dropping donations off on Miami Beach to these families. They're immigrants, so they get no sort of help. Yeah. They don't have a car and they don't have any food.
Right.
As simple as the simple necessity of eating. Right? I connected them to a food bank, which is great. And this is what makes me better. Yes. And this is what helps me deal with my anxiety. Yeah. Knowing, that I can help somebody else that's going to be worse than me, because there's 100 people, thousands of people that are going through worse things that I right now.
Yes, that's millions. Exactly right.
Millions. So that's how I cope. Besides the wine at night, obviously, but that's how I cope.
Right. And, Vanessa, it's really why I just love connecting with you, because I happen to have that same thing, really, where when I can make a difference for others, nothing is better for me. And I think it's because it takes the attention off of myself and my own craziness. So when I'm helping someone else, I'm not as focused internally. And I think discovering what it is, or even maybe creating what it is that each of us want to live by in terms of our values. So you talk about valuing yourself. Yeah. I think one of the questions each of us can ask ourselves during this time is, what is it really that's important to me? But really, I've been given this pause to act and think and examine things that I should be examining, whether there's a pandemic or not. But it allows me to stop and ask myself that question, and then have what I do be consistent with that. Sure. Because I think a lot of our reactions are for the short-term result, or for, closing the deal now, or making something happen, or being pissed at our kids and, reacting there.
Or trying to be accepted by somebody else, right?
For sure.
And it's funny, though, because I'm sure you see this a lot, right? A lot of people see me and they're like, she just goes in, she's super powerful, she's energetic, and they don't see that I really get hurt, yes. Right? And people tend to look at other people and be like, and you prejudge them, yep. And we don't do it.
Yes.
But that person might be going through something huge. That's why they put that facade in front of them. Like the dermatologist. You see her family, it's amazing, beautiful, this and that. And she's like, oh my God, I hate what I do.
Right.
So that for me was huge.
And I'm really thrilled that you had that, because with every single human being I have ever met, everyone is concerned about what people think about them. We all are. And even people who say, I don't care what people think about me, that's just the opposite side of the same coin. So you can even translate that to, being in Whole Foods and keeping 6 feet, and someone's like pushes in front of you, and, it's like, oh, they're so selfish. What the hell are they doing? Or there can be a pause, which is, wow, you know what? Please go ahead. And I hope that whatever it is that you're dealing with that is causing you authentically, not in a way that I'm making fun, but I hope that whatever it is that is causing you that kind of pain where you think you need to react that way, I hope it dispels for you.
Yeah. And
that's being open-hearted, right? Sure. Because, you know, one of the benefits of my job is that I get to see how people really are doing, whether they're powerful, whether they're fast, whether they have money, whether all of that. In my world, I get to see how people are really. And honestly, we are fragile, and we want to be open-hearted, and we want to do our best, and we want to care about people and people to care about us, all of us. I haven't met anybody yet who doesn't. So I just think it's great, Vanessa, that you have had that insight for yourself, because it will bring you a lot of peace. If you
it's a working process, right?
Me too.
It's your life. It's a working process. And this has given me the pause. And I love that you use that word, because I didn't think of it that way. I'm like, okay, I'm allowed to pause, or yes. I'm forced, not allowed. I've been forced to pause.
Yes.
Everybody's allowed to pause. People just don't do it.
Don't do it. That's exactly right.
Right. So now I'm allowed to pause, and it's like, oh, great. Okay. So, you know, in like, this is a huge pandemic. I mean, obviously people are dying, and it's horrible what's going on, but I'm always been very, very positive. And I believe a huge believer of the power of the mind. What you really think and visualize really, really happens. And yeah, allow yourself to pause, right? Live the moment and change. If you need to change your career path right now, it's the moment to make any changes you want to do in your life.
Yes.
Right. And I think some people might be really afraid of, you know, dig deep inside of them, because they've never done it.
Yes, that's right.
Most human beings have not done it, period.
Yeah. And fear is the great killer of creativity. It is the great killer, because, again, fear is usually associated with our concern about what's going to happen in the future, when in reality, none of us have a crystal ball. We don't know, but we live like we know. We live like we think we actually can figure out, based on what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, and what time prom is going to be, and when I'm going to go on that vacation. We don't know.
We don't know. And that's creating the anxiety.
Yes, exactly. And so if there can be kind of like a surrendering into this time of uncertainty, as opposed to a resistance and trying to control it, which you really can't anyway, but that kind of surrendering into that, you will have that space for creativity. That's where it comes from.
I know, and I'm throwing this at you, but any TED Talks that you might recommend, any books?
Yes. So the one that I've just watched that I absolutely love is Elizabeth Gilbert. Mm-hmm. And it's not a TED Talk. It's one of the TED Talk interviews. But if you do Elizabeth Gilbert TED Talk, and it's something like, and I'm happy to send it to you, it's okay to be overwhelmed during this time.
That's great.
So she was interviewed, I think, like 10 days ago. It is absolutely fantastic.
Perfect. Perfect. And any specific books that you recommend reading?
Yes. Actually, I was thinking about it this morning, and you've put me on the spot, because I can see the cover of the book in my mind's eye. And hopefully when Katie sends this out, what will be there is the title of the book. It's by Michael Singer, and I just cannot remember the name, but I'm going to look it up as soon as we end the call.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love that you're a coach and you have all this experience, right? And this is the perfect time, because a lot of people do not know how to navigate the waters, and it's okay to ask for help.
Yes. It's more than okay.
Yeah.
If someone asks you for help, don't you love it? Except we don't want to ask for help because we don't want to seem weak. We're so crazy. And
in my business, I think the reasons that I've always, and I've been successful, quote unquote, I've always asked for help, or I've always identified within my organization who did something better than me. Like, I know my flaws, and I'm not afraid of them, but I know what I'm really good at, right? So whenever when I was working in publishing, real estate, I said, okay, I need somebody who knows how to do this, because Katie, she's my marketing guru, my social media guru. I go, I know what I want her to do. I just don't know how to do it, nor I have the time. So
Yes.
I seek somebody amazing to do it for me.
Smart. It's very smart.
So
by the way, sorry, I was just going to say the book is called The Untethered Soul. It came to me while you were speaking. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
But I love that. But talking about coaching, even with my kids, I mean, they play sports, they want to, play college. They all have coaches, right? Business people have coaches. So it's huge, and especially now, to give you an insight and maybe getting to know who you really are. And that person like you, it's a professional person who's been doing this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And help them get to the bottom of this and who they are, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of coaching. And the other part is really for those of us that are able to do it, having someone who their only job is to help you be your best self.
That's huge.
And there's zero judgment. And it's just like having your own person. Because I can't see myself. You can see me. I can't see me. So it's, I just love so much what has happened with coaching, especially over this last decade, because I think everybody wants to be their best. I really, really, and I don't mean to be Pollyanna about it, but I think that is really who people are and what we want. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So we're almost time. I don't know if you want to say anything else. Add on, we're going to have your information once we put this through social media, how people can, contact you and all the tech talks and everything that you've said today.
Yes, great. Just the only thing that I do want to say is I think that as brutal as this is, and it really, when I stop and I think about it, which I make myself do, it's devastating. And with that said, I think that it is giving us an opportunity individually and as a collective, as a community, to be who I think we really want to be for ourselves and really for each other. And so, Vanessa, that you're putting these calls together just to make a difference is exactly what I'm talking about. I think it is fantastic. And I honestly really am so thrilled that you asked me this. Hopefully it makes a difference for people, but it's been wonderful.
I'm so glad you accepted. I could have not had a better person than you to talk upon these subjects, right? And we'll put all your information there so people can reach out if they need more help, which I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yes, great.
Thank you so much, Thea. It was amazing, and we'll be talking.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.